Welcome guys to ECT. Today I'll be showing you how to make a Team v Team map. So what you want to do first is, depending on like what size it's going to be, I recommend the grid islands, because in this Team v Team map I'm going to be showing you today, I recommend having a flat surface to make all your areas. So I'm going to put in grid island and wait. Okay, so once you get into the map, I recommend finding the middle, that way you have the maximum space of your island to use. The white dot is the middle. So I'm just going to show you a layout real quick of what your arena is going to look like. So I recommend for the width, I recommend if it's going to be like a 4v4, I would say probably take off these edges and probably make it about 14 to 15 length. Maybe an odd number, that way there's a middle. For instance, you could put damage power or something that will give whoever gets there first a competitive advantage. After that, I recommend finding what kind of surface you're going to use. For instance, one of the parkour galleries. So you can see that some of them is not complete color, and I recommend doing the complete color ones, because that way if you do like blue versus red, for instance, it's actually going to be completely blue and not just blue and black and red and black. So after you do that, I recommend building a height of at least 3, especially if you should have 2 floors at minimum to jump over walls and stuff. And then after that, I just recommend filling in the floor. So I recommend after you put down the floor, you just quickly place down the very bottom layer at minimum. And I'll show you here why in a second. Let me just finish the bottom. Okay, so on my left you can see select. It's right above the phase, which allows you to go through walls and stuff. What you want to do is select all of the walls, and then you just go up however high you want, and it builds all those walls you selected. Of course, I accidentally went a little off. Now, I recommend you have like a theme or whatever for your map. For instance, you can't, if it's going to be a Team v Team map, you need a goal. Like, for instance, here, if you go to my island in game, you make eliminations to end. So first team to get a certain amount of eliminations wins, and the game will end. So like, say it's a 1v1 right here. Let's just say that. First team to get like 5 kills would win the game, or round, or whatever. So I recommend however many players you have in your map, which you can see right here. I'm going to make it be a 4v4, and I'd recommend in order to win, you would have to have at least 100 kills, probably. That way it's long, but not super long. But 100 to 200 kills. So, in the devices, you probably know about the spawn pads. So the spawn pads will make it where instead of you spawning in the sky, you'll spawn wherever the spawn pad is. Now, in order to have a Team v Team map, you're going to have to make sure that enemies don't spawn in other players' spaces. So, for instance, you set this side to Team 1, the other side to Team 2. Note, if you're having players for some reason spawn in the sky when you start the game, that's probably because you need to set this setting. You need to make it 2 teams, or however many teams there are. Otherwise, there could be like, if you have 3 players, there's going to be Team 1, Team 2, and then Team 3 in the sky. I recommend having a little area for you to hide, and that way you can buy guns, or you can protect your cells and be able to like spawn without being spawn killed completely. Also recommend hiding these, turn off visible during game to make it look nicer during the game. That way you don't see all these devices everywhere on the floor. Now, if you want to be able to build in this, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you use a mutator zone if you're going to make it where you're able to buy guns. So the reason why is because you can make it where builds in here don't cost anything. So you can basically just build infinitely in this zone. But if you have like vending machines to buy stuff from, you would have to exit the zone. Otherwise, you could just buy infinite of those guns or weapons. And yeah, just pretend that the edge of this barrier is here. I would have to use the one that you can pick up to really use it. So after that, I also recommend making sure you don't have a way to escape. That way they don't see like all of this where you haven't worked on, because that just doesn't look very nice. After that, after you make both teams' bases like this, I recommend having a symmetrical layout if it's you cannot build in this game mode, because that way no team has more defense from the enemy's bullets than the other. Because if it's not symmetrical, one team could have like a ton of barriers protecting them from the bullets, but the other team, they might not have any barriers at all. Let me just make sure that's even. Also, it just feels nice to have things that are even. No, if you're having this problem like me after you select something like that and copy it, it's a weird glitch that makes it where your grid snap is off. If you don't know how to turn on grid snap, it will tell you on the left, it will say options, or it will say grid snap. All you have to do is press that button a couple times, and or if you head here, you can just change it to whatever grid snap you have. So it changes the grid snap a lot. The higher the grid snap, the more you can change it. So for instance, the devices or whatever prop you have, it will always be in the center of an object, which I did not know. But if you change it to say none or 32, you can move it have like them super spread out, which is how most builders probably use sculpting. I am awful at sculpting. Now I have mine on 8 because they make it where you can spread them out easier, but you can also have them closer together than like say 1. Also, make sure everything's straight. No, after you make a arena, you should have something else to make it where there's more of a change. For instance, you can make it where you buy weapons in order to get more guns in order to win. If you want to know how to do that, all you have to do is, you change the time. That way you have an infinite amount of time to, get a certain amount of kills. In order to make it where you get gold for kills, you need to go to settings and scroll really far down. And then you have to find something that says gold granted on elimination. I do 5 or 10. Usually, that way you don't get like 20 gold per kill or something. But I usually just do 10 because I like even numbers. And I also recommend if you're not going to be able to build in this, I recommend not showing wood, stone, or metal count, because that just means you can't see see where my builds are right above my builds on the right and my pickaxe. Those won't appear, but it will show your gold if you turn it on. Here, so you need to turn on gold because it doesn't show it in all games. After that, if you want to make it where when the game ends, it'll say you win, all you have to do is change the win condition to whatever you want. For this, it's first to get to 200 kills, or 100 kills, I mean. You should have it on win condition eliminations. Tiebreaker is just that way if they both had the same amount of eliminations or whatever. So if you were to somehow get a tiebreaker, I'd recommend either do damage dealt or damage taken. Also, recommend making sure you can't see the overview of the map, because otherwise you'll just see all of this green in this tiny arena. So once you make both sides or whatever, I recommend putting in guns that would be worth to buy. But in order to do that, you need to go to devices and find something like vending machines. Yep. In order to do it, you just find a weapon. For instance, combat SMG. You drop it in, and for how many kills you think you should need for it, you just change the gold. So you need to change it to gold, and then you change the cost of it. Sorry. And when I have it 10 kill gold for each elimination, I make sure I put it on 5. That way you need at least 5 kills in order to get like one of these legendary items. But more powerful weapons like a rocket launcher per se, my friends call me the explosive king. I recommend that being higher level, or not higher level, but more gold, because otherwise you can get a higher advantage. After this, after you get all your guns set up in like a vending machine row or something, all you have to do is head to your settings. Hold on. I mean my island. So go to game. That just makes it where if you're in game chat, you can speak to your teammates who are on the same team as you, or you can talk to everyone in the game, or no voice chat at all. Now, team size, I always have it on dynamic, because otherwise it can mess with some things. And I'll just show you the ones I have. So if you want multiple rounds, I recommend it. So like if, say, you get 4 kills, I'm going to put on 2 for 4 people. That way they can still have a decent amount of fun. After that, I recommend probably just, join in progress. I recommend it being like, if it's going to be for a game that lasts forever and there's no like way to win, I recommend just putting on spawn. That way they spawn instantly. Otherwise, I'd have it either be spawn next round or spectate. That way they spawn next round. Or you can just have it where they spawn, they go to a specific team. After that, I recommend heading to settings and changing all stuff. Like, for instance, you get 100 shields while you're fighting. Or when you spawn, I mean. Over shields, that way, well, it's better, since that's also what they have in the no build game mode of Fortnite Battle Royale. Infinite consumables, it depends. Like, for instance, if you put grenades in, or no, clingers, for instance, you would have infinite clingers, which could disrupt the gameplay experience of your map. So, but infinite ammo and infinite consumables are 2 different things. Infinite ammo will just change the ammo of your gun, so that way you have infinite. Note, it does not affect the hand cannon, the flare gun, or the flare gun, but it does make it where you can reload the recon scanner instantly too. After you change the ammo and stuff, don't have infinite resources on, because otherwise you'll buy infinite items from your vending machine. Or they have infinite builds when you only want them to have like 500 builds per match, and then they have to pickaxe stuff in order to do it. No, also, turn building can destroy environment off if you don't want it to destroy pops while they're building, and turn environment damage also off. Otherwise, they can break through the walls here and escape. It does not affect what happens while you're in, let's just say, creator mode. After that, it depends on what you want to do for here, because default will just make it where you die. But if you put it on improved, you will get knocked and your teammates can revive you. But that can also be annoying sometimes too. Squad multi-interaction would just make it faster for them to revive you. I recommend putting it on keep, because otherwise all your items would drop, like all your gold, all of your good guns and everything. I recommend leaving these on yes, the allow item drop and item pickup. That way you're able to get new guns or pick up guns that you had originally but you dropped from getting a new gun. Also, respawn time, it doesn't affect much. I mean, it just makes it where you respawn faster. But if you have it on, for instance, instant, it will make it where it's more like laggy or something when you respawn. Like it takes a bit longer than like 5 seconds to respawn. So I usually have that on 3 or 5. Gravity, it should be left on normal unless it's like going to be like on the moon or something. I recommend having these on, especially if there's no building. A glider redeploy, it's kind of if you want it or if you don't, because you can't cancel it when you're mid-flight. I usually just leave it off. That way you can like do a thunder pump or something if you have fall damage off. Otherwise, you can turn it on and make it where people will take damage from there. The only other thing I'd say that you need to do in settings would probably be the stuff I already said, like show metal resource count and all that. Make it where it's all no, and then show gold resource count yes, and also make it where gold is granted by 10 or 5 or whatever when you kill someone. UI is just where it tells you if you win or not. You just make it where it says you win or not. Otherwise, you're always going to have it say draw when you're with other players. Um, Description is just basically the name and describing what your map is going to be. For instance, you could just call it something simple like team versus team map. Other than that, your map is done. Besides, you need to go to devices, putting this down, and this will make it where you spawn with guns. So I recommend having it where it's blue guns, that way it's not super overpowered during the beginning of the match especially. So for instance, I recommend saying having 1 assault rifle, 2 shotguns, a sniper maybe, and a healing item. Otherwise an SMG. So like I'll do MK since for some reason that counts as an assault rifle and not a scoped assault rifle, which I kind of get but kind of don't. So I do scoped assault rifle, attack and a pump if I can find them, SMG, and then I'll get a consumable, aka a healing item or grenades or something, and drop it in. I'm gonna do chug splash. I mean, it's simple and it's not going to be overpowered in the game. Also do the same thing for consumables with the vending machines, only make it probably a lower price, especially if it's like healing items. Other than that, your map is done. You're completely ready to go and have your friends try it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next episode of ECT, Easy Creative Tutorials. We also will be doing Minecraft and other games that you can create in. Bye!